Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the fifth episode of Ascent Talks. My name is Ajit Panikar, and I am an Ascent member for 10 years and lead Nova, an air conditioning company, and Pure Blue, a tech enabled startup in the air conditioning domain. And my co host is Aleem. Hi, Aleem, how are you doing?
Good morning, Ajit. Good morning. I'm feeling absolutely pumped up today, absolutely motivated after yesterday's conclave. So, hello everyone. My name is
Perfect.
Aleem. I am a creative genius and an advertising guy. I run a company called Synapse here in Mumbai, and very delighted to welcome you again to the fifth episode of this one. We never knew it was going to run for 5 episodes, and we're hoping for more. So we're glad to have you here.
Awesome. Too good. So, for anyone
Right.
who is joining us for the first time and you want to know what Ascent is all about, Ascent is a not for profit expression of Harsh Mariwala, Chairman Marico Limited, and his passion to identify high potential growth stage entrepreneurs and enable them to grow their enterprise and enrich their entrepreneurial journey. Launched in 2012, Ascent today empowers more than 850 entrepreneurs across India. Ascent is designed as a unique, powerful, peer to peer platform that leverages the power of the collective through self facilitated groups called as trust groups, which enables entrepreneurs to share and exchange experiences, ideas, insights, and create a healthy ecosystem to learn from each other. So today's event, which is a weekly event, Ascent Talks, showcases Ascent members and their interesting entrepreneurial journeys. So, my friends, as kids, we've always been mesmerized by flying objects. However, today we have a guest who's built a business around flying object. So, Aleem, let's welcome our guest today.
So today's guest is Ankit Mehta, and I know that he's no short of a celebrity in Ascent and in the tech space. So Ankit Mehta is the co-founder and CEO of IdeaForge. It's a next-generation drone systems company that manufactures advanced unmanned aerial vehicles, also known as UAVs, for defense, homeland security, and industrial applications. Ankit graduated from IIT Bombay, which is a dual degree with a dual degree in mechanical engineering in 2005. Ankit with his team has led IdeaForge to become a global technology leader in VTOL, micro and mini UAV space, and is the clear market leader in India. IdeaForge's UAVs have been utilized for saving lives of service personnel and civilians in several anti-terror and counter-insurgency operations, disaster response, and security and surveillance missions. Today, its drones also serve the rural. Sorry, my screen. It also serves the rural sectors and uh, and the citizens of India by mapping Indian villages under the Swamitwa scheme. Welcome, Ankit, to the show, and sorry for my little tech glitches that are happening over here. So, Ankit,
Thank you
let's
so much,
just hear
Aleem and
about it.
Ajit.
So, Ankit, just getting right into the show. Tell us about your business, the nature, the scale, some clients, and solutions to understand this better. It's so interesting, and we're all ears to know what you have to say.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Idea Forge, we started Idea Forge way back in the year 2007. One of the fun, you can say, moments of our journey have been that an early prototype of ours was in the movie Three Idiots. So, the drone that you see in the song
Yeah.
was actually one of our early prototypes. So,
Wow.
we've in a way pioneered the drone space in India, and we came up with building quadrotor drones when almost nobody in our parts had heard about such systems. And in 2009, we launched. So what happened was that in 2008, when the Mumbai attacks were happening, and we were playing around with this technology since 2004. So we realized that at that time, when the naval helicopters were looking at the third and fourth floor of the Taj Hotel, trying to see what's happening inside, we felt that drones could have done that job far more inconspicuously, and therefore we thought that it's a good time to take the tech that we were having a lot of fun with into the real world and build products based out of that. So in 2009, we launched India's first quadrotor drone, and 2010 onwards we've been selling these systems to various forces in the country. So today our defense forces, our homeland security forces, our state police forces, as well as several enterprises and government PSUs as well as government departments use our drones for various activities which usually center around surveillance or mapping applications. So these are all backpackable drones that somebody can take in the field and go and deploy them at the last mile and get intelligence of a area within the area of interest or vicinity of the person going there to ensure that they have as much detailed information about it in real time as possible.
That's really cool,
So you
Ankit.
said this was
I
a,
mean, like how
yeah, Ajit.
he said from Three Idiots,
One minute,
from
I
Three
just want to
Idiots, go to
ask.
the third floor, fourth floor, fifth floor. That's very innovative, man.
And when you say it was a fun project, means you
Yeah.
look at other people's bedrooms earlier.
Ah.
That's what these guys
We
do at
were flying
IIT, right?
inside
That's what these
IIT
guys do.
Bombay. We were inside IIT Bombay. Only thing you could look into was the same hostels that you saw out there. Actually, not even that. We used to only get to look at the departments. Nothing fun going on there except for experiments.
But Ankit, tell me something. Yeah? This is a whole new industry. What are the kind of opportunities now that you're seeing with the drones coming in, or this whole industry? What are the kind of opportunities this holds for us? I mean, especially for people like us who don't understand anything about the industry. How big is this industry growing? What are the kind
Absolutely.
of growth prospects?
So it's a young industry in that one sense, primarily because it was a good to have product in that one sense before the pandemic. Since the pandemic, it has become a must-have product when people did not want to go into the lockdown zones to monitor even, is when drones started to become more critical for people to deploy and use. So uh, drones were used for doing lockdown monitoring. They were used for. We created a very unique. Drone where we put a megaphone on it, and we were able to help the police guys communicate to people on ground if they were seen violating the lockdown. So there was one area we were monitoring and people were roaming around here and there, and the police was able to announce through the megaphone that what are you guys doing over here, and particularly point out that hey, blue jeans, white shirt, what are you doing? So people
Huh?
people saw that they're being monitored, and you could see that immediately the street would clear out. So so that was one part of the action that was happening. Then during the around the pandemic, we had another locust attack that happened last in 2020, and in that locust attack, drones were used for spraying so that they could prevent the locusts from damaging crops. Then we had the attacks that happened in Galwan on the Indian territory, and we had to deal with that situation because we did not have enough advanced information about what's happening there. And that's when the government decided that they want to induct a bunch of drones for that. So they are used for border monitoring, they are used for surveillance activities, they are used for mapping activities. So government has this large program called the Swamitwa scheme. It's been launched by the Ministry of Panchayati Raj, wherein they are mapping all the 660,000 villages of the country and creating property cards for the first time for people owning houses in the rural areas to bring them into the economic mainstream. So there's a large activity happening there. So what drones do is they take very, very high resolution snapshots, which can be combined in software as a single image. And that image is geo-referenced to a very high accuracy that it can actually create what we call in Hindi patta. वो जमीन का पट्टा बनाने के काम आता है वो. So that's what drones are being used for today. They are being used for spraying on farmlands to be able to do implementation of farm inputs using an aerial system rather than using a manual spraying system, which again is delivering the medicine from the top, but then a human is involved in doing that activity, and there is a labor shortage as well as health issues around some of these areas where drones are being used. Drones are being used to do asset inspection. So if somebody was climbing towers earlier, they may not need to climb those towers to just do visual inspection. Drones can do the visual inspection, and if there is a need to do an intervention, is probably when the person is required to now go and do that job. So a lot of areas where you are trying to remove the human from danger, you're trying to get the human to get more intelligence before they have to make the necessary effort to mobilize or to generally enrich the amount of data we operate on so that you can take better decisions. The kind of fidelity that we get from drone data is almost 10 to 20x better than what you can get from satellite, best satellite imagery. So you essentially are able to increase the kind of intelligence you run on a lot of these kind of systems. So right now at this point in time, including doing deliveries using drones, sky is the roof for imagination here, and people are finding extremely creative ways of using drones. They are doing inside tank inspection, they are going with drones inside caves. It's very very fascinating as a domain at this stage.
I'm sure all our Ascent members are thinking, how can I monitor my employees? How can I monitor my team A blue shirt?
So that can't happen. That can't happen. Unless things are happening in the open air, it is too conspicuous a device for inconspicuous a
Yeah,
device for people to be able to do
yeah, and
that. Like
Aleem,
too much noise
and
it
Aleem,
makes.
another,
You can't do
yeah.
it silently.
No, and another untapped market. Helicopter moms. Send out the drones behind the kids, man.
Totally.
That may become a reality.
Yeah, that's all.
Helicopter moms days will become a reality. I would say parents now in today's world, right?
Yeah,
So
Absolutely.
both sides are
true.
equally
Both sides. I
conscious
agree
these
with you.
days.
Yeah.
And Ankit, what are the
Absolutely.
significant changes you have brought about since started this very very innovative company? So, what are the big changes that you brought about in this industry? And I'm sure there are tons of them that you can kind of quote, and we can all take inspiration from.
Of course, when we started, this industry wasn't there. Like there was no drone industry in the country. So in a way, we were, just the fact that we were able to survive a time where this was a good to have device, and continue to be relevant for the time when this has become a must have device, particularly given the global wars that we're seeing right now, what we saw during the pandemic when the Armenia-Azerbaijan war happened, and Azerbaijan won the war purely on the basis of drones. So, this the ability to build value for end customers for this really long time, and extremely uh, conscious of the fact that we have a huge responsibility as well as the pioneers in the industry to make sure that what we build is usable and is able to create actual outcomes for the end customers. So, some of the events we've been a part of during the Uttarakhand floods, our drones were deployed. During the Nepal earthquake, one of our customers had taken our drones to try and do post-disaster assessment. We had our drones deployed for several flood situations in and around, Mumbai, as well as not necessarily Mumbai, but down south when we had floods in Kodagu. Our drones were deployed to try and do inspections there. There are several instances where drones have been able to detect people doing nefarious activities in the Naxal regions of the country, and
Wow.
they've actually been able to do successful operations based off that intelligence. They are currently doing active monitoring on our borders on the northern parts where it is highly active at this point in time. So these systems have done a lot of work there, and in the early phases the technology was in a way not there was not as much awareness or concerns about the technology's use in the real world, because it was largely ignored because it was so small as a segment, and largely the government was using these devices. But in 2014, we saw pizza delivery become a news, and then pizza delivery led to was one of the reasons why it led to a ban on private use of drones. So since then, we've been working with the government and trying to come up with ways and means at which we can enable drones to become a part of the regular day-to-day lives that we are living, because there is a lot of value that they can add, including saving lives and saving a lot of improving productivity in many cases significantly. So since then it's been a constant affair to engage on the policy side to make sure that the right policy comes up. It's always been a flip flop as far as policy is concerned, but what we have today since last year has been a very, very open regime that has created a very conducive environment for drones to be deployed in the country. So, Ajit, one of the questions that I think you were indicating earlier was how easy is it to use drones? So, Today, using drones is as simple as taking a car out on the road. You need a street legal car, you need a driving license plate, and you need a driver's license. In the case of drones, you need a type certified drone, you need a UIN, which is unique identification number, and you need a drone pilot certificate. You don't even need a license. So it's a pilot
Wow.
certificate, and you are free to operate without any permissions in all the green zones in the country, which is probably 80 to 90% of the country. Up to 400 feet, you don't even have to take anyone's permission. But there are zones in the country which are red zones, just like somebody putting a gate at where a vehicle can't enter. It's very similar to that. Wherever there is a security risk or a critical installation or an airport, then you don't want drones to be interfering with the regular day-to-day operations, or you don't want people doing nefarious activities. So therefore, there are certain zones which are marked red. In those zones, the central government has to give permissions for operations. Apart from that, in zones which are above 400 feet, it's called yellow zone, and as long as ATC is aware, you may be able to operate, and they give permission, you may be able to operate your system. So it's a very, very open system to be able to now use this technology in our daily lives with a lot more ease and comfort.
Amazing. Yeah, absolutely good. So it's great that there is a regulation around it, completely. So, Ankit, you entered into a space which was non-existent, and building a business, even in existing space, is challenging. So, was there a moment when you said, यार ये तो नहीं चलने वाला है, थ्री इडियट्स का स्टोरी है, वो उधर ही रहेगा और बिजनेस नहीं आ गया, तो that moment or that challenge when you say that it's not happening, can you share with us a moment like that which you had, and how do you actually navigate that? Yeah.
So I would say that there was never a moment like where we felt that we're doing the wrong thing. There are two reasons for that. One is that when we started, also believed in the long-term potential of what drones can do, uh, as well as the fact that we didn't know what else to do. So we had to continue to build to be relevant to our customers. And when you build to be relevant to the customer, and you have to actually survive off that revenue for a very long period of time, it actually builds a different kind of strength. And for us, that was extremely critical. Like we were not in a position where we would have the luxury of getting a lot of funding in the early stages, because hardware nobody invests in. On top of that, we will have to in that one sense, uh, prove that defense is not a wrong customer to bet on as well. So there was this added challenge of being a hardware company along with serving the defense. So getting capital was never easy. Even banks find it hard to fund a company that is serving government.
Uh,
So even PSU banks. So that's the environment that we've sort of come up in. So it was challenging, but at the same time, the potential was not diminishing, because one, we were able to create world class technology. That has always been our mandate. And two, the need, the people on ground when we demonstrated the systems were were people who really needed these systems. So there are customers now who don't go out of their camps if a drone survey has not happened.
wow.
So that is the extent of operationalization we've been able to get with our end customers. And it takes a while to get there. When the drones got inducted for the first time, it was like party wear, right? You'll use it Holi Diwali, or if somebody is visiting you, you'll take it out and parade it around and then put it back in, right? But
True.
for us, because we believe that we have to literally be a part of operations for somebody, to be workwear for somebody, to be the workhorse for somebody. We did a lot of things to actually make sure that the customers use these systems. And once they start using it, they realize that it provides a certain comfort, a certain peace of mind, to have that advanced information about where they are going, and feeling safer with that happening. So that is the kind of impact we are creating on ground, and we had to sort of focus on that to build the right opportunity for ourselves in the long term.
Interesting.
But
Superb.
having said that, there have been a lot of near-death experiences. That's because cash runs out. That's because customers at times would not pay on time. Whatever. I mean, there are so many reasons for which things go wrong, and
And it's a
we've
very
probably had near-death
and it's a very
experiences
strange
for the
irony.
longest period of time. But Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, that's a part of being an entrepreneur, right? I mean, if you believe in what you're doing, then you're uh, willing to do it for the long haul and to do it for the right reasons. I think precondition is that you have to survive, and if you can survive, then like one of these investors had said in one of their events that good things will happen.
Nice. And but I know that's what's a very strange thing that you said. Banks don't want to fund you because you are supplying to the government. Do they realize that the money comes from there?
Yeah, I mean that's the dichotomy that we had to live with for the longest while. So that was the reality, right? Of course, now the industry is in a good shape. It's actually come up. There is more than 200 startups doing drones now, and even the established players have been wanting to do something large in drones. So I think the space is exciting. The opportunity is very large, and it's going to grow big. And government has taken a mandate that they want to make India the drone hub of the world. So let's hope that we can persevere to see that end, which I think is in sight.
And Ankit, what do you see as the future of drones? I mean, we've seen what it can do, but now can you tell us what it is going to do also? I mean, where do you see this going?
Of course, I think the holy grail of the drone technology is to impact mobility, right? So eventually, you will see that people will no longer need to have pilots operating helis and moving people. Plus, the fact that you have electrification of these aircrafts for at least urban air mobility, it's going to be a reality in some span of time. It is anybody's guess as to how early or how late it will happen, but it's very clear that it will happen for sure. And it is going to be a very, very exciting future where hopefully the heli services that we today are experiencing in some parts of the world, like particularly even in India, in Bangalore, where the connectivity from the airport to the city is now enabled through helis,
Yeah.
we are going to see a significantly large, denser environment of that happening. So that's the holy grail of what's going to happen. Of course, before that, you will see, and maybe that will happen in 7 to 10 years, and not later than that for sure. But you will see logistics becoming a part of the normal operations very, very soon, because there is a need for moving goods around more efficiently in particularly certain remote areas in the world where terrains are extremely challenging. The ability to connect them is far more expensive than probably what drone logistics can deliver in a much more simplified fashion in that environment. So there is an opportunity in logistics that's going to come up. Of course, like I mentioned, agri spraying, agri analysis to make sure that the crops that are grown are grown with the least amount of artificial inputs. And even if there is something that needs addressing, it is localized in terms of where the inputs have to be delivered, so that you can get nearly organic crop which is extremely high quality and yet very, very high productivity. So a lot of areas where drones are going to be part of our daily lives across board. Of course, we are going to see them being used for public safety, so that's not denied at all. That's going to happen. That is happening even today. So that's great.
Ankit, Ankit, if you ever meet Mr. Gadkari, you should ask him, भैया क्यों पैसा खर्चा कर रहे हो रोड और कोस्टल रोड और हाईवे वाईवे सब के लिए यार, हम तो ड्रोन बना लेंगे यार, हमारे साथ आ जाओ.
No,
But
absolutely. In
first
fact,
deploy in a hill.
that's the vision. That is the vision, right? I mean, I personally feel that we invest so much in building infra, and that infra is only used from time to time. And for that, building that infra, first we have to plunder resources somewhere, and then we have to, knock so much of the, ecology down to create that infrastructure. And in my opinion, in today's day and age, where there is potential completely off connected connectivity possible, in my opinion, this is going to be the future. So you are absolutely right. Future is that we should find more efficient ways of doing this than to use as many resources as we use today. And it's too much resource investing in infra that is likely to be used, and more often than not in a country like ours is overused, and simply becomes short very quickly in terms of supply.
Amazing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Ankit, you've been an Ascent member for a very, very long time, I understand. And how was I just want to know, what are your thoughts on the conclave yesterday and your Ascent journey in total?
I think Ascent has been a. I think I've been a part of Ascent almost from the second wave itself. So my journey with Ascent has been fairly long now, and Ascent Conclave is a very unique event. I really like this session with Chandra yesterday, where what for me the takeaway was that if you do something consistently, even if it's a hobby, there are so many lessons to take just from that consistent behavior, and what that consistent behavior leads you to think about and create. And I am a big believer in chipping away at things constantly. I'm not a big believer that a big bang will happen. If it happens, it's great, but a big bang necessarily does not build the kind of foundation that is essential for lasting changes in behaviors and in life as well. So that something was very interesting to note. And of course we had a very, very fun session at the very end, and it was full of energy, and you could see that the entire room was charged. We literally had people snatching mics, if I may, to ask their questions. So yeah, I think it was a fun event. I'm sure people enjoyed a bunch of these sessions, a lot of takeaways as well. My own
No, I
journey
think
with
it was a
Ascent has been
fantastic.
very
Sorry.
rewarding. Yeah, no,
Yeah, yeah,
please go
please
ahead,
go ahead.
Ajit.
I mean, you should tell. No, you should share about that your Ascent journey because you've been there for over 10 years, and that's very important to share as to actually how that journey been.
Absolutely. So the reason I joined Ascent was I used to do this with one of my friends. So he was an entrepreneur. He started about a year before I started, and every time we would catch up, we would be lamenting over the same set of problems. Sometimes he would face them before me, and I would face them after him, and or I would face some problems before him. And in the end, we realized that there was so much to learn with each other that we used to do that more frequently, increasingly. And when Ascent came about, I felt that it's a great place to find a similar ecosystem and to have that room where one you realize that you are not uniquely challenged in this world. A lot of times we end up feeling like the troubles are very unique to us. I think many people have gone through the same troubles much before you. So if you can learn from their experience, from people who have done something about it, I think there could have been nothing better. So that was my motivation, and that's been my journey as well, that I've been able to leverage the collective experiences of my trust group members in a very, very effective way for the organization.
Amazing, man. Amazing. So,
Fantastic.
Ankit, we have this rule. We actually have 30 minutes crash course session, and we just have a minute to go. But that last 28, 29 minutes has been fantastic listening to you. Thank you for being on the
Super.
show. And it's really motivating to hear about you. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to talk about it. So thank you very much, Ankit. It's been a pleasure to have you with us today. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank you.
much,
See you
Ajit
soon.
and
Yeah.
Aleem. Real pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Great.
All right, guys. So we had a fabulous. I mean, drones, fantastic, man. What a story to hear about. But yes, we have just a minute to go. So before we close the show, um, the two things that you can do now. If you're an entrepreneur, happy doing what you're doing, follow us on that LinkedIn Ascent Foundation page, and every Friday at 11 o'clock, we'll get you an inspiring story. But if you believe the next decade is the era for India, and you want to be part of that story, and you believe you're growth ready, then you should visit the ascentfoundation.in website and apply for membership. Now, here is a disclaimer. Now, this is not an option like you pay a fee and get an immediate membership. Ascent will get in touch with you and evaluate if you are truly a growth ready entrepreneur before they bring you on board. And that could take some time. But yeah, you gotta go through that whole rigmarole of getting on board, but you will meet interesting people. So that's it for today. And we're going to see you next Friday, 11 a.m. with a new Ascent member story. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you, Aleem.
Thank you, everyone. And please like, share. Please put us a comment. We love hearing from you. So it'll be great. We heard so many of you saying that you enjoyed our show yesterday at the conclave. We'd love to hear that in comments. So please keep that going and see you soon next Friday. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
See you guys. Bye bye.